The ICP designing sometimes is very unclear. Sometimes we believe that we are very clearly designed. Varies from company to company, stages to stages. Designing Sales Navigator is a very powerful tool. Don't just use all the filters. One most important thing any SDR, any account executive who are starting miss is on the company level research. This is CPs always depend on the stages of the organization. That is the most important thing the organization has to think about, which stage they are, whether they are at a very early stage, whether they are at a growth stage, or whether they are already an established player. Now, ICP designing should be very structured in nature. So we have done a lot of work with organizations where we have created ICP in a very structured way in considering all the three stages of the organization. The first thing, so when it comes to early stage organization, the early stage organization has to try different ICPs to get the responses from the ICPs that they choose. The second, the growth stage, they are aware of the ICPs, still they want to see the possibilities of how far they can go with the different ICPs as well. So let's say if they are targeting any particular department, so in those departments, whether they can target more and more number of people, or whether should they try with different departments or not. And when it comes to established players, they are already aware about the ICPs that they have in place. They just need to focus and they just need to dig deeper to have a multiple touch points in the ICP that they have already designed. So that is what is required. So let's take an example of a early stage startup. Let's take an example of HR tech organization. If I am selling game-based assessments or a learning platform, okay, what kind of product I am selling into which organization, that needs to be defined first. Whether my product is targeting large enterprise accounts, whether my product is suitable for mid-market segment, or whether my product is suitable for micro enterprise or small enterprises. If my product is suitable for large enterprises, whom should I target? Which kind of designations? Now, as I have already said, we are selling game-based assessments and learning platform. And let's take an example. My primary target group of companies is large enterprise accounts. So let's take a category of assessments. In assessments, HR takes companies should target CHRO, they should target the head of talent acquisition, they should target director talent acquisition. And then there are numerous possibilities. So first thing this HR tech startup needs to do is to create a ICP matrix. How the ICP matrix should be created. Now, we as a company have used Sales Navigator, and in Sales Navigator there are a lot of filters, but predominantly there are certain basic filters that any company should use. The first thing would be the company headcount. So if we are targeting large enterprise accounts, so we can start from 1,000 headcount to exceed to 10,000 plus. And then we need to choose the geography that we want to target, whether we want to target international players, whether we want to focus on only, let's say if we are based in India, whether we want to target only Indian large enterprises or not. Okay, then we can select the current job title. The current job title is very important. So there are a lot of designations in the current job title. I'll give you an example of current job title is CHRO, Director Talent Acquisition, Head of Talent Acquisition, then VP Talent Acquisition, VP HR, Head of Human Resources. So you need to create a lot of possibilities. So these are keyword possibilities that you need to create so that you get a desired amount of results. Then another thing that you need to choose in filter is the second degree and third degree connections. If you target manager in the large enterprise accounts, your decisions will time because the evaluation takes longer if you have a bottom up approach. If you have a top down approach, the evaluation is much faster in large enterprise accounts. So that is one case. So this is for assessments. The second case is, let's say if you are selling learning products, you have Director Learning and Development, Head of Learning and Development, VP Learning and Development. So we will show you a matrix, how the matrix looks like. It's typically that any HR tech company who is targeting large enterprise account, they can use that. If you are selling into mid-market segment is very huge. Let's say if you are based in India, Again, why I'm saying India, because we have done a lot of work with Indian companies. You can target head of human resources, VP HR. The headcount you need to take is 200 to 500 and 500 to 1000 on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And if you're targeting micro to smaller, you can target company size of 11 to 50 to 51 to 200. So these are the particular filters that you can use while using Sales Navigator. Here is the entire matrix. You can have a look at the matrix. There are 3 different matrix that we have created for HR tech company. So let's say this is an example where any early stage startup can evaluate why they are targeting any company. That is one. Let's take another example of a fintech startup. And you are a company who is targeting HNIs, ultra HNIs or family offices. Now, a lot of people we have seen specifically, they are not aware how to target family offices or how to target HNIs and ultra HNIs using Sales Navigator. So we have figured this by working with the fintech companies who are selling through HNIs, ultra HNIs and family offices. On Sales Navigator, in the search bar, you can just enter family office and then you will get a long list of family offices. And again, you can use those same filters. Company headcount, that is one. Geography that you want to target, that is second degree, third degree correction, that is third. And maybe current job title, let's say if you're targeting HNIs and ultra HNIs, HNI and ultra HNIs, you need to understand the salary bracket that a person is lying in. If one person is working in an MNC and in that particular MNC, that person is a managing director, he or she might have a huge salary. So that person is an HNI or UHNI for you. So through the Sales Navigator, you can also have a B2B2C approach and you can get that database and extract that database and you can even create a keyword matrix and design an ICP around that. After this example, we will show you the metrics for how you can target HNIs, ultra HNIs and family offices as well. So you need to also understand ICP over a period of time if you are unaware of it by testing it for a good 3 months. So sometimes what happens for early stage startups, you know who your buyer is. Some startups are aware because their product is specifically pertaining to those buyer persona. But some startups are not aware that product is not specifically pertaining to those buyer persona. So you need to identify which ICP will be suitable for you so that you are clear in the end that this is the specific ICP. So that is one for early stage startup. When it comes to growth stage, so growth stage, we worked with a food tech company. That food tech company was very clear that what works for them is facility audience, admin audience, and then third is the procurement audience. But the response rate that they used to get was from facility was 35%, and it was based particularly specifically on the stats that were given by them to us. Then admin was 35% again, and procurement was 30% again. But when we designed an ICP for them, we did consider procurement as an audience. When we started helping them in outreach, giving them the guidelines of how the outreach can be done, the outbound approach was very different from them because the most of the leads that they were getting was inbound. So that is why the procurement guys were directly reaching out to them. But the responses in the outbound was coming more from facilities and admin. And they were predominantly targeting only large enterprise accounts. So the ICP matrix of the entire food tech company that we used to target, here is the matrix. For the established companies, what happens is they are aware who the audience is. They just want to sell. I'll give you an example of a logistic company. They want to target logistic department. They want to target supply chain department. They just want to increase the volume. But they were not aware that whether we should focus on mid enterprises or smaller enterprises and target the founders and co-founders. So that's where we came into picture, whereby giving them an understanding to penetrate more by approaching founders and co-founders and CEOs as well. And they were pretty clear that the services that they were giving works for all the industries. So yeah, that's where we just came into play just by increasing the number of possibilities of the keywords or number of possibilities of audiences that we want to target. And we will again showcase you the entire matrix. See, the idea is very simple. The ICP designing sometimes is very unclear. Sometimes we believe that we are very clear in what we want, but we don't know from which audience we will get responses. We need to keep on trying. The ICP design varies from company to company, stages to stages. and you need to keep on testing. Choose the filters very wisely by using LinkedIn. When I say LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a very powerful tool. Don't just use all the filters on LinkedIn. That is also very important. While you're creating or while you're designing an ICP, you need to also research. There are a lot of research that goes on when it comes to designing an ICP. Sometimes people miss on research as well. So research is very important while you're designing an ICP matrix. You can use AI tools to understand, be the buyer persona, and have a number of possibilities to design an ICP matrix for yourself before even you are targeting. Verify the company. One most important thing, any SDR or any account executive who are starting to miss is on the company level research. This is the most important thing, whether that company is suitable for this particular product or the service that you are selling. So the company level research is very important in designing an ICP matrix. So for example, you have an ICP matrix in place, you're targeting that person, but while you're targeting the person, always make sure that you're researching about that company, whether this company that person is belonging to, will that company purchase or not, since you're into B2B sales. So the closing thoughts are very simple when it comes to designing an ICP. First you research, then you design, then you test, then you tweak, and then finally you have a refined ICP.